Welcome to MojoPlays. Today, we're looking at 10 games you need to return to in 2021. We all deserve a second chance, after all. For this video, we're looking at games that have improved a lot since their original release and will be worth checking out this year. The Elder Scrolls Online. At launch, Bethesda's first foray into turning one of its hit franchises into an MMO was messy, to say the least. With seemingly little knowledge of what actually makes giant MMOs good, The Elder Scrolls Online was a shadow of the single-player games that came before it. But in the years since its release, lots of improvements have been made, with the game providing new expansion packs and quests that put the stories of lots of other MMOs to shame. Since The Elder Scrolls 6 still looms somewhere on the horizon, 2021 is a great time to return to the world of Tamriel and see it from a different perspective. Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, well, I'll be damned. Last time I saw that, I was still basking in the glory of youth.
After numerous delays, December 2020 saw the world finally get its hands on Cyberpunk 2077, disappointing no small number of people. Only on top-of-the-line and next-gen hardware could the game be experienced properly, which is even harder when both PC components and new consoles are difficult to get your hands on currently.
Looking good, Rudy! Go, go, go!
But 2021 will see the release of numerous patches and eventually the full PS5 and Xbox Series X versions of Cyberpunk, not to mention the free DLCs CDPR has announced. Cyberpunk may not have been great for everyone at launch, but in 2021, it should finally become everything gamers were promised.
Not now! Not today!
Fallout 76. The poor design choices made during Fallout 76's initial development period meant that it had an absolute disaster of a launch. Players were greeted with an empty world populated only by robots, boring quests, and non-stop server problems. And for a while, it looked like the game was only getting worse after Bethesda added the controversial Fallout First subscription service.
I need you to do something for me.
Gale don't like your face.
But eventually, Bethesda realized that they needed to change their approach, and the Wastelanders update was finally released in 2020. This update added the one feature we all wanted from the beginning: human NPCs. With lots of the technical issues ironed out and plenty of content, Fallout 76 is definitely worth checking out again in 2021. Red Dead Online.
Can I help you? Oh, please don't tell me you've come a robbing. I haven't got the time. Or you just looking for work? Talkative one, ain't you?
Back when Red Dead 2's multiplayer mode first launched, it wasn't easy for players to find anything they actually wanted to do in the game. It turns out there's less opportunity for chaos in the Wild West than Los Santos. But ever since then, Rockstar has been iterating and working to increase the content offering of Red Dead Online, adding new characters, activities, and customization options. The biggest improvement came when roles were introduced, letting players truly feel like they were living in the Old West. There's always the risk a new update will inadvertently break the game, but RDO is good enough now that it's worth it anyway.
Survival of the fittest.
Isn't it also romantic?
Star Wars Battlefront II. boxes and microtransactions have become the bane of every gamer's life, and this was never clearer than back in 2017 when Battlefront II was released. It seemed that the $60 it cost at launch wasn't enough for EA, and pay-to-win mechanics wormed their way into the multiplayer. Through opening costly loot boxes, you could get upgrades and boosts that would actually make the online component easier for you. For once, microtransactions were ultimately rolled back, and thanks to DICE's continued support and updates, Battlefront 2 is finally the AAA Star Wars shooter it should have been from the start. The single player still kinda sucks though.
When you're done, regroup at the palace. Got it?
Yeah. Got it.
Diablo III.
This fight is over.
There was always a good game at the heart of Diablo 3, the problem was Blizzard was trying to make it as tedious as possible to get the good stuff at first. This was because the game included an auction house that let players buy in-game items with real money.
And the auction house just made that experience way too convenient and really short-circuited our core reward loop.
Its existence was disastrous, and lost Blizzard the goodwill of players, most of whom hated Diablo 3's focus on it. Crazy, considering the system was illegal in some countries. But it still took Blizzard until 2014 to finally get rid of the auction houses, even after developers admitted they were a mistake. But in 2021, with Diablo 4 not too far away, there's never been a better time to get back into the series.
You think me mad, old friend?
Sea of Thieves. With great art direction, amazing water effects, and celebrated studio Rare at the helm, Sea of Thieves had everything going for it. Unfortunately, it had a terrible launch thanks to its world of piracy being totally devoid of things to do. Players were left sailing around to complete boring collection quests and nothing else. Even finding the legendary Kraken wasn't that fun. But years later, Rare has listened to the players and improved the game immensely. One of the best additions has to be the Emissary flag system, which gives you better loot payouts but makes you a target for other pirates on the high seas. And since it's on Game Pass, there's no reason to not set sail in 2021.
So come and join us on the seas, and get ready to set sail on your own adventure.
Destiny 2. It may not have been an entirely necessary sequel, but after Bungie split from Activision and made the base game free to play, Destiny 2 has kept its players firmly in mind. The first 2 years of the game's additional content were made free after Bungie began self-publishing, with attention turning to enormous expansions like Shadowkeep and Beyond Light, the latter of which coincided with the PS5 and Xbox Series X releases. And if you're playing on Xbox, the expansions are included in Game Pass, giving you all the more reason to jump back in. Alone or with friends, Destiny 2 is a whole lot of fun in 2021. Final Fantasy XIV. The original 2010 version of Final Fantasy XIV was so bad it only lasted for 2 years before being shut down and replaced with a brand new, entirely overhauled game, A Realm Reborn. Already one of the best single-player RPG franchises in existence, Square Enix had now created one of the best MMOs currently out there.
How many years have I waited for this moment?
And like many other live service games trying to win back the public favor, there is a free trial version of Final Fantasy XIV that lets you experience a whole lot of the game before you reach the level cap. If you've got an MMO itch you need to scratch in 2021, look no further.
The Warrior of Darkness.
No Man's Sky. Who could forget Hello Games' notorious space simulator No Man's Sky? When it first released, it was an empty slog with no reason to keep playing. On top of that, it didn't look anything like the trailers and was accused of false advertising. But in the intervening years, No Man's Sky has turned it around thanks to a slew of large and highly successful updates that added many new features. From ensuring the game's many planets were actually populated with interesting wildlife to an enormously deep base-building mechanic, finally, the universe is your oyster in No Man's Sky. And it now supports cross-play on all platforms, so it's easy to find people to play with today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.